I grew up in a small suburban neighborhood, the kind where every block had a park, and every parent assumed it was safe. Back then, before smartphones and social media, we lived outside. Bikes, flashlights, and scraped knees were our entertainment. I never imagined one of those parks would leave a scar that still hasn't faded. It started on a summer night when I was 13. My friends Tony, Rob, and I had spent the day biking around town, grabbing pizza, and wasting time like kids did before Wi-Fi ruined attention spans. By nightfall, Tony's mom kicked us out of the yard for being too loud. So we rode down to our favorite hangout, a small park surrounded on 3 sides by woods. The place was perfect for avoiding nosy neighbors. A baseball diamond sat in the center, a couple of benches faced the field, and in the corner stood an old metal playground. The kind that creaked when you climbed it and burned your hands during the day. That's where we always hung out. The air was humid at night, and the bugs were loud enough to drown out our laughter. We talked about school, girls, and bikes the usual. Then Tony suddenly froze mid-sentence and said, Did you hear that?" At first, I thought he was joking. But then came a dull thud like a shoe hitting metal. It came from the playground right behind us. We stopped talking and waited, the only sound the distant chirp of crickets. Nothing happened. Tony shrugged. Probably a squirrel or something. 5 minutes later, another thud. Louder this time. Closer. Rob stood up. "That wasn't a squirrel." We scanned the shadows, expecting to see someone hiding. Nothing. The park was empty. But then a sound rolled out from inside the metal slide, a child's voice. "Hello." The word was soft, drawn out, like it came from deep in the slide's twisting tunnel. We froze. No one had been near the slide. No one could have climbed inside without us hearing. Tony whispered, "Was that?" Another voice interrupted him. The same tone. "Hello." This time, I stepped forward, trying to sound brave. "Hey, are you stuck?" Silence. My heart pounded as I knelt next to the slide opening. It smelled like rust and dirt. I leaned in and said, "Do you need help?" No answer. So I climbed in. Every scrape of metal echoed around me as I slid down, expecting to see a little kid at the bottom. But when I reached the ground, the slide was empty. Completely. I scanned the area, the benches, the field, the edge of the woods. No one was there. I turned back to my friends, ready to tell them it was some prank, when the voice came again. This time from right behind me. "Catch me!" We didn't even look at each other. We ran, jumped on our bikes, and pedaled home like something invisible was chasing us. When we reached my house, we hid in the backyard, trying to catch our breath. That's when we heard a knock on the back gate. 3 soft taps. We froze. A woman's voice called out. "Hello, were you boys just at the park?" Tony whispered. "Don't answer." But curiosity got the better of me. I looked through the tiny crack in the gate, and she was standing there, already staring back. A middle-aged woman, pale face, wide smile. Her eyes didn't blink once. I stumbled back. Tony yelled, "We weren't there." The woman's grin didn't fade. She tilted her head. "Are you sure?" Then, as calmly as she came, she said, "Okay, thanks anyway," and turned to leave. But when I peeked again, she was still there smiling. We spent the rest of the night inside, silent, waiting for dawn. We never saw her again. But the next morning, we went back to the park, and at the bottom of that slide was a single Polaroid picture. It showed the 3 of us on the playground, taken from the woods behind us. None of us had brought a camera. I used to love night walks. There was something peaceful about empty parks, the sound of wind through trees, the faint hum of streetlights. But one night, a walk turned into something I'll never forget. It was summer 2018. I'd just finished a late shift at work and wanted to clear my head before going home. The local park was only a few blocks away, so I went there around 10:30 p.m. It wasn't uncommon for me to be the only person there. At first, everything felt normal. I had music playing low in my headphones as I strolled the main path. Then I noticed a man sitting on a bench up ahead, hoodie pulled tight, hands in his pockets, staring straight ahead. I thought nothing of it until I realized he wasn't just looking ahead. He was looking at me. When I passed him, I glanced sideways and his head turned slowly to follow. My stomach tightened. I walked faster. I picked up my pace, turned toward the exit, but he started following again. His movement was strange, not running, not walking, just gliding at a steady rhythm, keeping the same distance. The path curved near a playground with a row of dim lights. When I reached it, I pulled out my phone, pretending to call someone. My voice shook as I said, "Yeah, I'm on my way, just leaving the park now." He didn't stop. Instead, he stepped fully into the light. His face was pale. His hoodie was old and dirty, and his lips were curved in this subtle grin, like he was enjoying my fear. I broke into a jog. He did the same. When I sprinted, so did he. The sound of his shoes hitting the pavement echoed off the trees, a steady rhythm of terror behind me. I finally reached the street and ran across to the other side. When I turned back, he was standing at the park's edge, just outside the glow of the nearest light, watching. He didn't move. I stared for a full minute before forcing myself to go home. That night, I double-locked every door and window. The next day, I went back during daylight, thinking I'd find nothing and maybe calm down. The bench where he'd sat had something carved into the wood. Jagged letters, uneven, as if done with a knife. It said, "Nice run." I never went back to that park at night again. But sometimes, even now, I'll be walking downtown and catch a glimpse of a hooded figure in a crowd, and for a split second, I feel that same chill crawl down my spine. This story happened less than 24 hours ago. I'm still shaken. I'm writing it down mostly so I don't convince myself it didn't happen. My friends and I had gone to a local park known as the Overlook. It's built on a hill with an amazing view of the city, a perfect spot for late-night hangouts. It was supposed to be just that. 6 of us, music, talking, and some fireworks. But fireworks are illegal in city parks, so we decided to move to a more secluded section called the Loop. It was only a few minutes away, a circular road surrounded by thick trees with a few benches scattered around. We parked outside the entrance, just in case someone called the cops. It was close to midnight when we started walking down the long driveway that led into the Loop. The path was narrow, lined with trees that swallowed most of the light. At first, it was peaceful. Then, about halfway in, we saw a truck parked on the side of the Loop, lights off, engine off. Then another car, then another. No one inside. It looked like a small gathering, except no one was around. We brushed it off and started lighting fireworks. The first one whistled into the sky and exploded, bright enough to light up the trees, and that's when we saw movement. Someone was standing just beyond the cars, facing us. Then headlights snapped on. A truck that had been parked facing away from us suddenly spun around fast and started rolling in our direction, lights off again. We ducked behind trees as it passed. Then it stopped, turned again, and started creeping forward. The driver wasn't using headlights, just the faint red glow of taillights as it moved like a predator circling prey. That's when one of my idiot friends lit another firework, a Roman candle. Sparks shot out toward the trees. The truck slammed into gear and sped toward us. We scattered, diving into the woods. The ground sloped down fast, and we slid through mud and brush, trying not to make noise. When I looked up, I saw 2 flashlights sweeping across the trees from the direction of the road. Voices shouted, angry, male voices. I pressed myself against the ground, breathing as quietly as I could. My friend whispered, "They're looking for us." We stayed there for what felt like an hour, though it was probably 10 minutes. The truck's engine revved, stopped, revved again. Then silence. We thought it was over until we heard footsteps. 2 men were moving through the woods fast. One had a flashlight, the other something shiny in his hand that caught the beam. Maybe a knife. We didn't wait to find out. We ran, dodging trees, branches slapping our faces. The sound of heavy boots followed close behind. My lungs burned. I tripped once, rolled, got up again. Finally, we saw the faint glow of streetlights through the trees. We sprinted toward it. When we reached the road, the truck was waiting, their headlights on now, engine idling. It started moving toward us. We bolted across the street and ducked behind a fence, then through another stretch of trees until we reached a neighborhood. The truck didn't follow beyond the park boundary. We regrouped an hour later. Everyone was shaken. One of my friends had dropped his phone during the chaos. Against all logic, he wanted to go back to find it. When we returned in daylight the next morning, the truck was gone. But scattered across the ground near where we'd hidden were cigarette butts, a discarded flashlight, and a glove military style, with the fingers cut off. The park rangers told us later that the loop was being investigated for illegal gatherings. A group of people had been meeting there at night for months. Some kind of underground initiation. We never found out who they were or what they were doing. But the ranger said one thing that made my blood run cold. He said, "You boys are lucky. 2 others went missing out there last month." A week after the 3rd story went viral, someone posted a video compilation claiming they'd found security footage from those same parks. The clips were grainy, low quality, and time-stamped across different years. One showed 3 boys on a playground, running after something unseen. Another showed a hooded man sitting on a bench, turning to look directly at the camera. The last showed a truck circling a wooded road, headlights off, before vanishing behind the trees. They were all caught on camera. None of the footage has ever been explained. And that's why I don't go to parks anymore. Because no matter how peaceful they seem, there's always something or someone watching.